Hi everyone, I'm Rosie and welcome to Vox Yoga. So today's video is all about the 8 limbs of yoga. So if you came to yoga through Asana, which is the physical practice of yoga, you may have heard of these 8 limbs or you may not have. Even if you want Asana to be your main focus, it can be really beneficial and really useful to understand a little bit more about yoga's history, where it came from, and about these 8 limbs, as you may find that some of them have already crept into your life through if you have a maybe daily, weekly, more regular yoga practice. And it can be good just for integration of yoga as a whole to understand a little bit more about these 8 limbs of yoga and the path through these 8 limbs. So it's not a list of steps that you need to go through. It's more about a journey, and then you can focus on whichever one feels the most present for you in that moment. And often they'll all come together anyway. So these 8 limbs include restraints, observances, posture or seat, breath control, internal focus, concentration, meditation, and enlightenment. Now, enlightenment, the 8th limb, is not the goal. We can't have this goal in the future because the whole point of yoga is that we are in the present. So I'll tell you a little bit more about each of these 8 limbs, and then you can see how they may already be a part of your yoga practice, or you may wish to add a bit more focus to them. It's really up to you because, as usual, a yogi's choice. And I also wanted to just remind you that yoga is not a religion. This isn't a Bible. These were yoga sutras where this came from that were written a very long time ago. There are some things in the modern world that maybe we may not use from the sutras. But as I said, it's useful to know the background and where yoga originated from. And of course, just take what you wish from these sutras. So the first limb of yoga is yama, or restraint. And this is about our behaviour towards others, making us a person that someone wants to be around. And we're given a set of guidelines through 5 things. The first is ahimsa, which is non-violence. And this might be physical, it might be with our words, and also with our thoughts as well. We then have satya, which is truthfulness, asteya, non-stealing, brahmacharya, which is how we use our energy, and aparigraya, which is non-greed or non-hoarding. The second limb of this path is niyama, or observances. And these are ideas around how we can deal with ourselves, so the structure of ourselves personally. And again, we're given 5 practices that we can approach through this limb. The first is saucha, or cleanliness. The second, santosha, contentment. Tapas, self-discipline, svadhyaya, self-reflection, and finally, Ishvara Pradidhana, which is surrender to a higher power. And of course, I must apologise for my pronunciation of any of these words because, of course, they are Sanskrit. So the next limb is asana, which is actually posture or seat. Because originally asana, the physical practice of yoga, was a seated posture, and then it developed from there. And now we have these more kind of rigorous, full body postures and flows. However, the limb or the word came from seat because as a yogi, we want to be grounded. The original purpose, when we move through maybe this more modern Western version of yoga asana, the original purpose to meditate is still there, to feel grounded. And we're able to do this through asana by opening up our tight bodies, removing this stiffness, connecting with our breath that then gives us the tools to be able to sit still and sit more calmly. And really, when we're in these postures, we're embodying all of them. For example, mountain pose, we're feeling tall, strong, calm, and steady. And that is still the original purpose and intention of asana. The 4th limb, which some of you may already know, is pranayama, which translates literally as restraining the breath. Prana, our life force, our energy, and ayama is the restraining of it. And of course, our breath is the first autonomic function we have in our body that we can control. And the purpose of pranayama is to get deeper into the recesses of our mind and see how we can control our breath and see the effects that it can have on our body and our mind. If we can change the pattern of our breath, then maybe effectively we can change the pattern of our mind as well. We then come to the fifth limb, pratyahara, which is the withdrawal of our senses. And this is the first step of meditation. So it's getting us to ignore the outside world and take our focus inward so we can see that actually this freedom and happiness that we're always looking for is actually inside of us. And pratyahara really is that initial stage of meditation where it's really just getting you to sit still and get used to not being distracted, finding that calmness, that stillness, so that you can improve your intuitions and not always be looking at the outside world so much. The sixth limb, dharana, or concentration, is another form of meditation. So of course, meditation comes in many forms. We all connect to it in different ways. And in dharana, we are putting our focus onto something, onto an object that we are hoping to concentrate on. This could be a mantra, a breath, an object, a pattern, and the aim is still to keep our focus inward, but it's really having that quiet type of concentration, which will then take us to the next form of meditation. And therefore the seventh limb, dhyana, is meditation in its most fullest form. And really it's when we've got that sense of quiet, calm, we're able to focus inward, we're able to focus on an object. And kind of when you get to the seventh limb, the aim is to not really realize that you are meditating. So you don't have those thoughts anymore where, oh, I'm focusing, oh, I'm meditating. You are just being. And that's quite a tricky place for a lot of us to get to, but it can be part of the journey of this eight-limbed path. And therefore the last eighth limb of yoga is samadhi, or enlightenment. And it's really the ultimate goal, if we have one, of our yoga practice, or what we hope to get out of it, which is that we have this steady meditative focus of the mind, where those external thoughts have ceased, we feel we've found the higher self and fulfilled that ultimate goal. Literally, it translates as sama, same, divinity. We know ourselves as whatever our highest source is, and therefore we have achieved enlightenment, which I suppose we'd ultimately like to be our natural state of being. So there's a really nice quote as well, which I thought would be nice to end with. Yoga does not make your life better. Yoga makes you better at life. So some of these probably feel a bit out of reach. A lot of them do to me as a yogi. I read some of these things and I think that seems quite unreachable to me through my daily life. But it's just finding those little steps along the way, you know, maybe bringing some of that into your daily practice. And as always, take what you need and what speaks to you. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for watching. And don't forget to hit subscribe. See you again soon.